Hello and welcome to day 17 of my year of gratitude here on Journey Back to My Truth, where every day for a year I am sharing some life advice I have found and then thanking somebody specifically who has brought a little joy to my life or made it a little better, whether something huge like my family member or something small like a neighbor. So for today I'm going to talk a little bit about mosquito control. But right now, first, it's raining out. Hopefully you can hear me just fine. As I talked about earlier today, we went ahead and laid my grandpa to rest today. Just the most incredible man, and the world is a little darker without his light in it. But he was ready. He was ready to go home. When you live into your 90s like he did, and he has just the most incredible family, and he was suffering with a chronic illness, so it was time. But it doesn't make it any easier for the rest of us who now have to go on without him. So I was able to live stream the funeral, which was awesome. That's one of the great things of COVID, I guess, is all the technology that came out of it. But seeing all of my family there, hugging each other and supporting each other, and not being there with them, it's one of the hardest things I've had to do. Although seeing all of my family there, hugging each other and supporting each other, knowing that, the COVID variants are still out there and how sick my daughter is, caused me a little bit of anxiety. So I know I made the right decision in not going, but it was still extremely, extremely hard. So it's just been a tough day. When it comes to family, though, I am absolutely blessed. I absolutely won the family lottery, so to speak, being born into this family. People talk about, and I've seen with other family, in-laws, custody battles, all that stuff, how messed up family can be, but not mine. My grandpa and my grandma raised 8 incredible kids who have turned around and given me, incredible cousins, and just love my whole life. And they're so accepting and forgiving and supportive. I'm just blessed. I'm just incredibly blessed. But anyway, to not get into all of that, it was a tough day. And I think the sky crying, some tears from heaven, is appropriate for today. Actually, my grandpa, when he passed away, he got to do it at home. As I had talked about, he was born and raised in that home, and never lived anywhere else, and then died in that home. So he always talked about it as God's country. It's just beautiful out there. It's in the middle of farm country, and it's flat as long as the eye can see until the earth curves. Just huge skies, absolutely beautiful. And when he had passed, my aunts and uncles and mom went outside, and there was a little rain going on, and so they turned around, and wouldn't you know it, there was a full rainbow, full from field all the way to field. Mom took a picture and sent it to me, and she had to take 2 pictures because it was so huge it wouldn't fit in one. So, he's home. And someday, if I'm worthy, I'll see him again. So speaking of the rain, I'm going to talk about something else that the rain causes today, which is mosquitoes from standing water. And I had learned about this because we were having a huge mosquito issue in our neighborhood, and they actually had an inspector go around from house to house and try to figure out what the problem was. And so I learned a ton from that guy. So it turns out that mosquitoes don't actually travel far from home, and they don't live long, only 7 days. So if you have a big mosquito problem, it's because you have a standing water issue at your house. And this kind of news was huge for me. So it turns out that all mosquitoes need to reproduce is just a bottle cap's worth of water. That's it. And they can get hundreds of larvae in that little thimble size of water. So what you need to do is go through your entire property and find anywhere that there can be standing water. And it can be as simple as, a kid opened up a pop and dropped the cap on the ground, and it's sitting in the grass just filling and holding water. Hundreds of mosquitoes from that. If there was a plastic bag that is, sitting in like a little indent holding water, mosquitoes from that. It's really common to find standing water in kids' toys that are like sat on their side or whatever. It's common to find it in old tires that are around. Check your planters. I have some of my planters that will hold water at the bottom, and it takes about 5 days, I think, for the larva to grow. So you really need to stay on it and make sure that there is, after every rain, you go and you dump out all the standing water. And you'll see within 2 weeks, your mosquito population will drop dramatically. It makes a huge difference just to go through and check all of your standing water. Also, make sure you don't have any high grasses, as they like to live in those high grasses too. And sometimes those high grasses will hide standing water. So, keep your grass cut. If you have like a natural cottage type garden, which I do, where they'll hang out, just check in there from time to time. Make sure there's not some leaf litter that's holding water, or a plastic bag blew in with a storm or something, and is holding water. Now, for the areas that are going to be holding water and you don't want to get rid of them, like a rain barrel, or we have some ponds in the back for our ducks, these little things right here, which is the mosquito dunks, is what they call them. And this is a biological mosquito control. So what this is it's not a chemical. So that's what's really nice. It is safe for all animals. It is actually a bacteria. Let me see what it's called. Bacillus thuringiensis, I think is how you say that. The subspecies is, I'm not even going to say it, Israeeinsis. So what happens, this is all otherwise known as BT. So if you garden at all, that you should be familiar with BT. Now the thing that's awesome about BT is it only targets larvae. So you can use that to spray on all of your brassica, things like that, your broccoli, cabbage. That'll get your cabbage worms, because it'll kill the cabbage worms, or your tomatoes with your hornworms. Anything that will have worms or larvae, this stuff kills. We've actually been using it on our fruit trees right now because it will, with the oriental fruit moths, it will go ahead and kill all of the larvae as they're crawling along from the fruit moths. So I'm not sure exactly how it works. I just know this bacteria targets larvae and kills it. And I saw it work because we had a pump break back in our little pond, and because of that, the water's not circulating. That's the other thing. Circulating water will also stop mosquitoes. It's only standing water that's a problem. Well, since our pump broke and we're still waiting on our tax money to come in, because I'm still not working with my health issues and everything else, we haven't been able to buy a new one yet. So the water, you could see, was starting to get like mosquito larvae. It was pretty awful. I bought and dropped in one of these things. I ordered it off of Amazon. I'll put a link below. Went ahead and dropped one of these in, and within 2 days, you could see all the little larvae went up and were like eating around it, and then they were dead, and now there's nothing in there. So it really is incredible, and it works well. Oh, I didn't even think about that. The gutters, if your gutters hold water, if they're not set up correctly, because gutters are supposed to run downhill completely and drain completely. So you might have to get a ladder and check that. Make sure somebody holds your ladder. Fell off a roof, that'll be a story for another time. But if it has like a dip where something is loose, it'll hold water in there. So that would be another place that mosquitoes could breed, because all they need is 5 days. So if you got a heavy rain and then it's just been damp for a couple days, that'll do it. Bird baths is another thing, and also animal watering troughs. So just some areas to look out for where, anywhere that water will sit for 5 days. But this stuff is safe to even put in your animal drinking water. So anyway, that is my little tidbit for how to get rid of your mosquito problem. And seriously, we went through and we did this, and within 2 weeks, our mosquitoes are dramatically less. Now, you don't get rid of them all the way, and I'm not spraying for them. Mosquitoes still play a very valuable role in the ecosystem. Many birds, bats, that sort of thing eat mosquitoes. So I'm not trying to get rid of them 100% as much as I would like that, but they do hold some value. But I also want to be able to go outside and hang out in my backyard and not be eaten alive, especially because mosquitoes are spreading a lot more diseases these days with climate change and the pressure of the environment. Diseases are getting spread that way. There's even some talk that they may be a vector for Lyme. I don't believe it's definitely proven yet, but it's something that's being looked into right now. So anyway, that was it for today for my gratitude for the day. I am actually going to thank one of my daughters, my middle daughter. It seems like whenever things are high pressure, not going well, she's the one who steps up and helps me, and she deserves it. So she's getting a big old long letter today from Mom, just telling her thanks for being so awesome. Well, I hope that you all have a great rest of the day. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, choose joy.